Coming up in this episode of KMOS Presents Missouri Life, we're on the road to Lebanon, Missouri, where we'll eat with some cowboys, drive along Route 66, and visit some really cute alpacas. KMOS Presents Missouri Life. Let's discover. Funding for KMOS Presents Missouri Life is provided by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. Lebanon was incorporated in 1849, but not as Lebanon. The town was initially named Wyoda after the Native Americans who lived there. By the late 1800s, though, the town was renamed Lebanon. Lebanon had some high-tech advantages early on as a telegraph line ran through the town. And during the Civil War, Lebanon was occupied for much of the war by Union forces, there to protect the all-important communication technology. After the war, the Frisco Rail Line asked Lebanon City Fathers to donate some land for the railway, and they refused.
Never!
We will never donate land to them!
What can they do to us?
Nothing!
So the rail line was built a mile away from downtown, and eventually forced downtown to move to the rail line more than a mile away.
Oh yeah!
That.
They could do that.
Lebanon was also home for a while to the Gasconade Hotel. The hotel was built after a worker discovered magnetic waters in Lebanon, which resulted in folks flocking there for the supposedly healing powers of the magnetic waters. But after just a few short years, the hotel burned down and the magical waters receded. One other notable high point for Lebanon, because the telegraph lines ran through town, when the U.S. started construction of Route 66 in the 1920s, Lebanon became one of the towns along the route, which followed the telegraph route. Unfortunately, nobody appeared to get that information to songwriter Bobby Troup or Nat King Cole, otherwise people would be singing about getting their kicks in Lebanon, Missouri. Alpacas may not be the first thing you think of when it comes to Missouri, but for the Mitchko family, raising alpacas at the Whirlwind Ranch has been all too familiar for 21 years.
We found the first alpacas in 1993, and it was all my mom's fault. We were looking for a tax write-off, and then fast forward, they started multiplying. We purchased 3 and kept on going from there, and then a couple of years looking for a retirement property here. My parents lived in New York, I lived in Texas, and we found alpacas in New Jersey, Ohio, and other places across the country. And we moved here in 1996. And today, now 21 years later with alpacas, they've just grown, and we have the animals, we have tours here, and educational opportunities, and we have a store right here as well as mail order. And we travel around the country throughout the year teaching and educating the general public on about alpacas and their products.
We have tour buses, shopper tours. We have tours coming in from Fort Leonard Wood. The tours sponsored by the fort for the new arrivals and new ladies tours and family tours. We are an approved field trips for the Laclede County School District. And then people will call and say, can we visit? We'll have families come out. We have a couple of families who have family reunions in Branson. They come up here, spend a half a day with the alpacas, shop, and enjoy themselves.
The animal itself comes in 22 different colors that are recognized, plus subcolors. As a result, it is the most color diverse animal in the animal kingdom, and we get as a result some rather unique characteristics about it. The fiber itself wicks moisture from your body, and as a result will have a tendency to keep it cool in the summer or warm months. It also is a hollow fiber, and as a result will wind up keeping you warm and yet light in weight. And as a result, it serves two functions of keeping you warm and cool, all depending upon the season of the year.
At the Whirlwind Ranch, they do it all. The fiber collected is separated, sorted, and graded. Using a machine called a drum carter, the fiber is then blended and combed. And the fiber is then vacuum packed and ready to be made into a product.
There's two kinds of alpacas. What we have here are called wakaya, and they have fiber that grows 90 degrees off from the skin, and they resemble a teddy bear when they're in full fleece. The other type of alpaca is called Surrey alpaca, and they have dreadlocks, so tight little ringlets a la Shirley Temple. And there's nothing different between the two livestock except for the type of fiber. And each type of fiber has its unique properties, where the wakaya tends to use lofty, like sweaters, whereas the Surrey is made for fine, drapey products.
We've had a variety of church groups that have met here, as well as kindergarten classes, as well as the Red Hat ladies. So this has been a common meeting place. We've enjoyed their company constantly, and they in turn have interacted with the animals as well as us, and we've just gotten a big kick out of it. It's been a fabulous life. From New York, where we had such an intense lifestyle, here we relax very comfortably, enjoying it, really smelling the roses, and we offer this opportunity to anyone that is interested in pursuing it for themselves.
We're here at T's Redneck Steakhouse, where we're going to sample some of the food and try their made in-house moonshine barbecue sauce. Let's dig in.
I built T's Redneck Steakhouse just to be a family-oriented. We're in a small town. We love people, try to make locally made food as much as possible. You know, we started out with a fairly small menu that's continued to grow, and it's a very large menu now. We have 16 different beers on tap now. We carry a lot of local craft beers. We try to do as many things local as possible. We smoke all our own meats. We make our own sauces. We make our own barbecue sauces. We make our own moonshine. We offer a lot of specialty foods. We do a lot of things in-house. We hand-bread our own pork tenderloins. We smoke all our own ribs. We do a pulled pork that's fantastic. Obviously, having steakhouse in our names, steaks have got to be great, so all our steaks are fantastic. We do a smoked pork chop. We actually have a pork chop challenge. We had a gal from California come through, and she whooped it in 30 minutes and 54 seconds. It's a 5-pound pork chop, a baked potato or a baked sweet potato, a dinner salad, 1 roll, and they have an hour. We put a distillery in our restaurant. There's all kinds of local shiners in this area, and we had a local shiner that I give a jar of what we make a cinnamon pear glaze. And he took that home and put it in some shine that he had made and brought it up here and said, "Here, you need to taste this." And I said, "No way, I need to make it." I said, "What is it?" You know? And he goes, "I took your cinnamon pear and I put it in some moonshine I made." And I'm like, "That is awesome." So I started checking into all the legalities of what we had to do to actually make that in-house. And first of all, you got to have a great product. So you've got to make a good corn whiskey. And then once you make a good corn whiskey, then you take it and you can do anything with it. And so we actually have a cinnamon pear shine. We have an apple pie shine. We have a strawberry moonshine that will be coming out soon, and we have a peach cobbler shine that will be coming out soon. We try to provide a little bit of everything for everybody, you know, and we try to stay in that price point where if you want to come in and have a $25 steak, you can come in and treat yourself for that $25 steak. I want people, if they got a little money or a lot of money, to be able to afford to come and eat at T's. You know, we have peanuts. The kids absolutely love the peanuts. We've got saddles that the kids ride on those, and I think it's a really family-oriented business, and that's what I want it to be. we're really known for doing so much ourselves. We hand patty our own burgers, we hand bread our own mushrooms, we hand bread our own onion rings. We actually make all of our own breading. We use a buttermilk batter that we make also, and so anytime you can actually hand batter your own products, and you know, when the pork tenderloin comes out and it's like this big, people's eyes go, whoa. You know, because you know it's going to be probably more than what you can eat, and that's another thing that we take in pride is people go, well, there's no way I can eat everything, but the last thing I want is somebody coming here and getting up and leaving here and they're still hungry. I mean, when they leave here, they're not going to be hungry. You know, the Tees experience is not just about the food. It's about the atmosphere. It's about, you know, the personnel. It's a whole group thing, you know. And the last thing you ever want, and every restaurant has it, no matter how much you try to be good, is that you want every guest to leave that and go, hey, that was a great time.
For more information, you can visit teesrednecksteakhouse.com.
Located inside the public library is the historic Route 66 Museum. Here we take a look at the past as museum curator Mark Spangler takes us back in history.
The museum here in Lebanon, the Route 66 Museum, has been in existence a little over 10 years. The library, it's part of the library complex of the Lebanon-Laclede County Library, and this library has been in this location a little more than 10 years, moved from our original library in Lebanon into a vacant old Kmart building, which gave us a lot more room to work with. Once we set up the original library, we saw that there were areas in the building that we could use for other purposes. So the Route 66 Museum was one of those ideas that came about that could be under the same roof and just augment everything that we were doing here and be an asset for the community. So the idea was born, and we raised funds for this corner of the building. Our local Rotary Club helped us with funding. Our local Route 66 organization began acquiring objects and information, and we just started and got where we are today. It's been a steady building process for the last 10 years. Several significant collections have come into us. The collection of Jim Powell, who actually organized our Missouri State Route 66 Association. His entire personal collection formed the backbone of what we have. And local items have come in from various individuals since that time. So 10-year building process that goes on to this day.
The Route 66 Museum has an abundance of different exhibits from the past. The exhibits come in a wide variety, with 3 full-size exhibits such as a full-service gas station, a diner from the 40s, and a tourist cabin.
The significance of the route to our community is much like other communities. Transportation history in Missouri and in the Ozarks goes back to times immemorial. We used to travel on foot from prehistoric Native Americans to the first Europeans and Americans, and that was largely how we got around on foot and on horseback until the railroad came. And a lot of Lebanon's growth came with the coming of the railroad after the Civil War. And at that time, we thought it couldn't get any better than that. And the community grew like so many up and down the Frisco Railroad did. And then around the turn of the century, with the rise of the automobile, that all began to change very slowly. And by the time enough people had automobiles that we started to address that at the public level with funding and with the issue of good roads, we were part of that process that was happening nationwide. With the advent of the federal highway system by the 1920s, when we think we need a good highway network for the entire United States, we were part of that conversation. So the focus that had been on the railroad for so many years began to shift to automobile travel. And Route 66 would be the premier highway that really saw that change. We have, for various reasons, we've been one of the fortunate communities that lived throughout the Route 66 period with the transition over to an interstate highway, which is now I-44. We have continued to thrive, and other communities simply have not. With the slight bypassing of the interstate highways and that cutting off of the lifeline that Route 66 was, other small communities very close by are practically non-existent now. So We today, as we are today in Lebanon, Missouri, we're one of the few communities that is really serious about honoring that heritage and the place of Route 66. The 8 states that it passed through, and for 2,400 miles, there were thousands and thousands of communities. Not all of them celebrate its presence. The few that do, there will be a few sites left and some businesses that still exist. But there are very few museums like these, especially in a community the size of Lebanon. So we're really proud of that fact. And we're trying to keep that heritage alive in Lebanon and actually continue to make it a thriving part of our future. Our museum is unique in that it is free to the public and it is open most of the time. Its hours correspond to the library hours, so we are open from 8 to 8, Monday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 8 to 5. As long as the doors of the library are open, you can come see the museum. It is set up to be self-guiding. If I am around and available, especially for groups, I'm always glad to give an organized tour, but you're not dependent upon that. You can come by anytime that's convenient and just find the library and come on back, and it's free of charge. So very user-friendly and accessible most of the time to anyone.
5 years ago, veteran Steve Hull and some of his partners in crime started the annual Lebanon Wagons for Warriors event to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project.
We just realized the sacrifice that our veterans make for us and our soldiers on a daily basis. And we just feel like that this is a good opportunity for us to pay back.
We got chicken fries.
The event started out small, but it has grown each year.
The first year, I think we raised about $5,000, and this year we're well over $15,000. So my goal for this year, and I think we're real close, my goal for this year is $20,000. So we've had a lot of good sponsors and a lot of good people come out here to eat today and pay to eat, so it's going very well.
One of the regulars at the event is teenage fiddle phenom Brett Dudenhofer.
I was 4 years old when I started, and I always hate to admit this, but my inspiration was Barney, the purple dinosaur. I was 4 years old, and then after that, I just kind of started playing everywhere. As I started getting older, I found this amazing group, Finley River Boys. I love to play with them so much, and we've only been together for about 2 years now, but it's been very fun.
So you could say that PBS played a direct role in Brett's fiddle playing. But how does a purple dinosaur inspire one to pick up a fiddle?
There's an episode where he played the fiddle, and Barney was my hero at the time. I was 4. So, and we just kind of looked around for places to, I got actually one for Christmas. I said Santa just got it, so it's all good. And we were trying to look in places, and no one would really take a 4-year-old. So we looked in Buffalo, and a man named Russ Weeks, he's taught me ever since I was 4 years old, and he's been with me ever since, and I'm still with him today.
Barney's fiddle playing has led Brett to the White House, not once, but twice before he's even old enough to drive.
The first time we just asked them, we weren't really expecting much. We were just like, oh, well, they'll probably just ignore us, but we got a call back, and we went down there. It was so much fun, and we were expecting, that's just a one-time deal. It was fun, but don't expect to do it again. And then last Christmas, we got a call back saying they want us to come again, and it was super fun again.
She took all the love that poor boy could give her and left me to die like fox on the run.
In addition to music, Wagons for Warriors also features lots of food, served up by old-fashioned chuck wagons and real-life cowboys.
We're with Kent Rollins from Red River Ranch. We're going to talk a little bit about cowboy cooking. First of all, tell me what we're making here today. What are we doing?
Chicken fried steak has always been a staple for cowboys forever. It's probably the meal that we get most requested for. This chicken fried steak actually beat Bobby Flay in a throwdown many years ago, so we had a lot of practice cooking. But you start out with a good piece of sirloin, get it tenderized by your butcher twice, run it through there. Any more than that, usually the meat will fall apart. Everybody uses either a milk and egg or a buttermilk and egg. We use our special recipe. It's a dried egg mix. It's got baking soda, baking powder. You want that crust to rise up there and get really golden brown. So we'll put a little of this in there, put it in the seasoned flour, which we use with ours, Go ahead on, brother. You can get some sizzle right there here in just a minute. We still cook for working ranchers. We just got off one in San Angelo, Texas, west of there. 173,000 acres, you know, and I was in New York 2 days after that, and I told them, I said, y'all have 8 million people on a whole lot less ground. We had 20 folks out there on 173,000 acres. But it's a great cause we're out here for today. You know, it's a Wounded Warriors deal, Wagons for Warriors, and it's what brings America together. You know, I take my hat off to all them servicemen who have been around, greatest bunch of people in the world. And I'm truly honored that we could be a part of this and cook for them, and ask everybody to come out to Lebanon, come to park, and let's eat.
And of course, food, music, and wagons are part of Wagons for Warriors every year right in Lebanon, Missouri.
We started our fly fishing school, which covers everything in fly fishing from knots to rods and reels to where the fish live, why do they feed, when do they feed, how do you catch them, and so forth. And we start having 2-day schools. According to the people who go through the school, they have a good time in our school, and I enjoy it, and I love helping and teaching, and so do my instructors. And we had to cut the 2-day school down to 1 day because we found we can pretty much get everything they need in their mind in 1 day, and their body and mind in 2 days is more than the body can handle. So we teach them the best we can in an 8-hour class on Saturdays, and then they've got all day Sunday to fish if that's what they want to do. I really enjoy helping people. I've helped them all my life, and there's just something very selfish, I guess, in seeing this person not being able to grasp something and all of a sudden go, oh, is that all there is to it? I got it. Don't need you anymore. Bye-bye. And we're pretty happy with that. We have a spring here at Bennett Springs State Park that puts out 100 million gallons of water a day that averages about 58 degrees. The perfect temperature to grow a trout is 58 degrees. We can grow a trout here a foot long in about a year. And out in Colorado, Wyoming, where the water is snow melt off, where it's very cold, it takes them almost 3 years to grow a trout 12 inches long. And Bennett Springs State Park is a state park, so that means it's fun and safe and reasonable. And the stream here is stocked every single night. And they put in about 2.5 fish for each person that think will be here tomorrow. And they do that as long as they're selling trout tags, which means March 1st through the end of October, they're stocking that stream every single night. So you have a great chance to catch a fish. The limit's 4, and you can catch and release all day. So, and a lot of people here catch, this will sound absurd, but they'll catch 50 to 200 fish a day once you learn how. We tell people it takes about 2 trips trout fishing to kind of get a hold of everything. And it's mostly about presentation, which requires pretty good casting in order to catch any fish in any stream. When people first pick up the fly rod, they think, oh, this is easy. And it takes about 5 minutes to take that myth out of their mind. With help, in an hour or 2, you're casting great. Without it, according to Federation of Fly Fishers, it takes about 100 hours of casting in order to become a good enough caster to catch fish. I would recommend that they would find someone that knows something about it, that's experienced, and ask them to help them. Fly fishermen are extremely social. They love to help people. Here, if someone's catching a fish and you walk up to them and say, how you doing? And they say, well, I'm catching really good. It's really wonderful. And they go, wow, I wish I could. Well, don't be surprised if he doesn't cut the fly off his hook, tie it onto your line so you can catch some too. And Lebanon is centrally located in the state. We're right near I-44, we're right off of 65, south of Sedalia, and it just seems to be working pretty well.
Funding for KMOS Presents Missouri Life is provided by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.